Okay, well, first of all, thank you all for coming to my talk. This is not going to be that much of a technical talk, but more of an experience we had that we wanted to share. So there's one here. This was supposed to be the second one. So I am Diego Tejera. I'm the CTO of Rootstack. We are a development shop located in Panama, in Central America. And we mainly do two things. One is we work as a full service agency, but in Central America and the region. And for US, we work as a nearshore and outsourcing company. And we work with other agencies here when they need most of our developers to work on projects. We work with them. So we have those two things. In this case, we're going to show is a full project that we did. So that project is called, this is what we're going to go over. So what is the project about, which is called Panama Tramita. This is a website that already existed, so we made a migration to Drupal 8. What were the new website requirements, how we build it, and a site demo and some challenges and limitations that we have. Okay, so what is this thing, Panama Tramita? So basically, this is a website in Panama that you can go there and find everything you can do with any institution of the country. Everything, absolutely everything is there, and it is there by law. So every institution is obligated to go into that website and upload all of the procedures that you can do with them. For example, for driver's license, they have to put on that website how you can get your driver's license, what are all the requirements, what you need to fill, where you can do it. Everything needs to be on this single place. And there you can find also schedules where you can do that across the whole country. If you need any form to fill, those forms are probably going to be there. So this is like a central place that you as a citizen of Panama have this information available. And before this, and I noticed that it works like that in other countries, everything is spread out. So every website of every institution and on every state is different, and sometimes it's hard to find stuff. We are right now a country with 4.5 million people. Yeah. And around 1 million is foreign people from other countries. And on this website right now we get about 600,000 unique visitors per month. So it's being used a lot by our citizens. So what we had on the old website, this is a website that was built on Drupal 7 on 2012. We built that website with another, in conjunction with another agency that did the design. It was probably the first important website that we did as an agency, because we only had like 1.5 years at that time. The website was only in Spanish. Was a non-responsive website. You cannot see it on mobile. It was, yeah, pretty bad. And we were using molecule field collections for almost everything there, which made stuff pretty complicated. And we had a content management workflow that also was complicated. We learned a lot from that experience because it's been about 6 years at the moment we started to do that one. So what we needed for this new website. Sorry, no. This is a slide about who creates the information, right? And this is really important, or it was really important during the process of building this website. Since every institution of the country needs to come inside the website and create and edit information, this was not for technical users. So we cannot just use the Drupal UI the way it comes. It will have been pretty complicated, and actually it was on the old website. So the people that was doing this had a lot of problems. not problems because it was not working, but because it was complicated for them. You had the secretary of the transit institution trying to create something, and it was really complicated for them. It was, a big headache. So the first thing that we needed to do is plan a good strategy for them, so they can they have an interface that can use and don't complain that much about it. Everything that is made there is approved by one single authority, which is like the owner of this website. That's called National Authority of Innovation. So they also need to have a whole process to approve this content. So that being said, what we need is an easy-to-use interface, easy for non-technical users, and notifications for all of the content changes that we needed on the website. Because there's so much people creating and changing content here that we needed to have a way to know when something was happening and having a good approval workflow for all of that information. Okay, so must-haves that we needed was this moderation workflow in place, properly working, some dashboard for the administrators and also for the institutions so they can see a big picture of everything that was happening there. Aside multilingual, because since we have so many people from other countries on our country, we needed to have the site in 2 languages, at least on English. And also the interfaces to edit the content needed to be in Spanish. On the old website we had Drupal 7 and we imported the translation for Drupal.org, but they were incomplete, and there's people in Panama that do not know much about English, so they had no idea what the thing said. We also need the statistics to see how the content was moving on the website, so they know what was happening. Also, of course, now responsive design and a design better than what we had before, which was already pretty old. Okay, so how we built this. The first part was the content moderation workflow. We used, in this case, the Drupal course modules workflow and content moderation. They worked out pretty good for this, and we created a workflow like that one that it is there. Every time they create something, they just create a draft, they pass it to ready for review, and it's reviewed by this National Authority of Innovation. If everything's good, it goes to publish, or it goes back to its work, and they get also notified about that. And if it's something that is not needed anymore, we archive it. So they never delete anything, because that way we can go back and see the stuff that we needed there. That piece that is right there on the bottom is the way it looks when you want to change from a state, and that's part of the core Drupal functionality. Okay, so about notifications, we were initially planning to build them using rules, because rules is supposed to let you send emails based on actions, but we found some issues there that we could probably get around them, but it was too much work to do it that way. So we ended up just making update hooks on the code so we could react when a change happened. And we created notifications like when something is ready for review, when something was published and rejected. And we also used a module called R4032 login. That is a module that lets you, if you put a link on an email or something and you go into the website and you're not logged in, and it is a page that needs logged in access, it redirects you to the login page and then redirects you back to that page. So there's a lot of little things that we did like that on the website that made the user experience way better than we had before. And sometimes as a developer, you don't care too much about it, but in this case, it was really important for them because of the amount of non-technical people that was working on this website. Okay, and this is how an email look. We created a simple template on Twig that we send all of the emails with that header and footer, and you get there the information that you need. And it goes to different places depending on where it should. And that has helped them a lot for the content that is rejected, because they didn't get notifications before. And now they know, and they don't have to go to the website every time to just check if there's something else, something there to review. Revisions, which is an integral part of the website, of the Drupal core, was also pretty important here. And it's integral part of this whole content moderation process on this website. Because every time something changes, someone needs to see what happened. And we use the diff module, which is pretty popular to see the changes on the website. The only limitations that we had, and we still have, I don't know if that has changed since we did this, but you cannot see when you see revisions or changes on your website what happened with anything that you have that it is not part of the node itself, but it's something that it is referenced from here. And that happens with paragraphs or entity references. So this is the way it looks when you have just fields that change and it works properly. But when it's something referenced, it looks like this. It just says no visible changes. So that's a limitation that we still have, and we might be able to come around that at some point, but it's something that's happening right now. And I know that other people is having also this issue. Okay. So content edit pages. We had some challenges here because, as I said before, as technical people, we probably take for granted what we see there. But there's a lot of stuff on the Drupal default edit pages that can confuse a user. For example, when you out of the box take Drupal and go to an edit page, you're gonna see stuff like sticky on the front page and revisions information and publishing options. There's a lot of stuff there that gets confusing for them. And they had a lot of questions on their website about it and confused them, and they were touching stuff that they shouldn't. So this time we made sure that that didn't happen anymore. So this is what we did. The first thing that we did is we, not just for the front end of the website, created a team. We created a team also for the back end, and we based our team on this. This is pretty popular team, at minimal team, and we strip out everything that we didn't need there through different forms. Some was through code, another was just hiding it if it was something that was not important. And yeah, that seemed like something silly, but I've heard from different clients that they get confused about stuff there. And we also made a big effort to make sure everything was on the edit page on a logical order with descriptions, which also seems something silly, but you have no idea how many websites I have seen that if you don't know the website, you have no idea what those fields mean. And in this case, we couldn't afford that because it's so many people, and also the people in the government changes a lot. So retraining people every time, it's a pain. So this is just a small part of the screenshot of the page, but if you look at here, when they log in, they don't see anything on the top bar. There's just what they need to see, their control panel, which I'm going to show. On this page, we strip out everything that you see here, the content that is on the left. Everything has descriptions. It's in logical blocks, so it's as easy as possible for them. They don't really need to know that they're using Drupal. We wanted to do something easy to understand. And it's still the basic Drupal interface, but it's stripped down and easier to use. So yeah, the same here. We use a module called Inline entity form, so they didn't know that they were creating stuff outside the page, and it was pretty easy for them to do stuff here. This is another model that we had to strip out. This is a pretty cool model that lets you put office hours for a page that you can put your schedule for each day of the week. And they have a lot of options here. We have to just hack that and remove everything so we could make it as easier as possible for them. And we also used the revision message block on the notes to be able, when we reject something, to let them know what they need to change. So yeah, that's not out of the box. You have that revision message, but we put it there as an error, so they know that was the issue and what they needed to correct. And this is what they see as an institution when they log into the website. They just have this one single page. They don't have anything else on the menu. They have this place where they see their institution with their logo, and if they click on it, they're going to edit the institution itself. They have different content types that they can manage, and there's just a counter on the top where they can see how many they have published, how many without published, for different stuff that they have, and like a shortcut menu there to add content, edit content, a support link, which is just a simple form with web form. As I said before, this doesn't look like something out of the ordinary, but it has helped them a lot because we took care of making sure that it's as easier as possible. And every time I go to talks, people talk about technical stuff, and for me it was important to show that we should also care about the users that are using these platforms. And on the bottom they have what they need to correct or they have in draft, so they can see everything right away. This is another sub-page where they have their content but segmented out on different stuff. For example, here this is like their government procedures of your institution. So you have everything there, you have a simple search on the top, and you can now have, and this has helped them a lot, for example, filter by something that does not have any requirement, a procedure that does not have the information they need. This website has been migrated twice. The first time was from something really old that they built in-house, then to Drupal 7, then to Drupal 8. But since we have been moving content since that old website, they had a lot of stuff there incomplete. And now we put these simple filters that let them know what was there since the beginning of the times, incomplete or without information. And for content managers, which is this authority of innovation, they ask us to have some information for them so they can have a whole picture of the website. Easy to read the statistics, easy to find the content, and easy to administer. So we use a couple of tools to make this for them. The first one was this JavaScript framework called Vue.js, in conjunction with a module called decoupled progressive blocks. I think there's a talk about it on that other room. And we also use a JavaScript library called Charts, which let us do pretty cool charts. And we also used GraphQL, and the reason why we did it was because there was a bunch of information that they want on charts, and building just endpoints and endpoints to get this information every time they wanted something different, it was going to take a lot of time. So we decided to just use GraphQL. Has anyone used GraphQL or heard about GraphQL before? Yes? So GraphQL is basically a query language that you can use from your front-end side of your website. And instead of just using traditional REST endpoints to fetch information, you can just query the API and get the information the way you want it. So using this module, we created something called schemas for the data that we have. And instead of doing endpoints for each thing that we needed on a chart, we just started to create queries, and it was way, way easier and faster to do it. So this is a screenshot of one of the dashboards they have. So those on the top are built that way. We're using Vue.js with these AmpCharts.js JavaScript libraries and GraphQL. I'm sorry. And we have another bunch of ones. I don't have them here on the screenshot, but on this page that says datos de trámites, which is like procedures data, they have a bunch of graphics there with filters, and they can play with that and generate different ones. And they use that a lot to analyze the data that they have. They also have here a full picture of the different content types that they have and how many they have published and not published. Here on that graphic, they have published against not published per month, so they know how the content is changing over time. And on the bottom, which you cannot see on the screenshot, they have stuff that is pending for review. So they can just come here and look for them. Okay, so other admin features were mentioned. We're using other Drupal modules, for example, that export to export information. A lot of other institutions ask them data about their institutions, or even stuff like let me know all of the government procedures that need your ID to make them, and they can now export that data to the other institutions that want that information. So having all of this information on the same place, let them know, and let the other government institutions to analyze how the stuff is being done on the government. And they have changed since this the way some procedures are made on the website on the government, because now they realize that there was stuff that was overcomplicated and didn't need to be that way. So I already mentioned that, but we have this interactive charts block that I don't have screenshots there, but you can play with them and get data. We also changed the user administration page, and we also stripped down stuff so they don't get confused. And now let's see the new website. From the front, where's the browser here? No. This is not my computer, that is why. Okay. So the resolution is a little bit small, but this is kind of the way it looks. Now they have like this big search, which you can look for anything you need. And we have some accessibility features here, like change the color inversion or making the fonts bigger. And they all have now places where they can easily administer everything here. Like for example, these notifications, they have a place where they can do this. They now have what's more viewed on the website, and we fetch that data from Google Analytics. That's really useful because at some times of the year, there's more people doing more the same stuff. So that changes, and there's basically the thing that's happening at the moment on the country. There's other stuff like you can verify from here a police record. There's a platform that works in conjunction with this one that you can create online your police record and come here, and someone that has that police record can check here if it's true, if it's valid, and some information here. about everything that we have. And you also have here, for example, everything that can be done on, let me make this smaller so it's easier to see. Yeah. Everything that can be done, for example, online. It is here. You can filter that by institution of the government. And you have there the link to see it. If you go to normal procedures of the of the government, you can see, for example, if you want to do this, whatever it is that it is, I don't know what it is, you have here all of the information. If you need a form that you need to fill, it's here. So all of this information is on the same place, and you can see it. You can see where you can see it, do it. And we also built this module that we're probably going to release soon, which is like a feedback module, and we track there by date what was the satisfaction of the page. So that way they can see that if one of these pages has a lot of negative feedback, they can review and see if what is happening is that maybe the information is outdated or is incomplete. And they have used this already to find some procedures that were incomplete. So yeah, we're gonna probably release this on Drupal.org soon. It needs a little bit of tweaks, but it's almost there. Yeah, it's just a simple way to measure the satisfaction of the page. And yeah, you have some other stuff there that is helpful. For example, you can see an institution, and in here you can see, I think this one is pretty small. This is the airport, so there's not much stuff here, but maybe this one. No, this one is another one that is small. Yeah, the transit one. And we're using here Search API for the search. Yeah, and on this one you have like everything you can do here. You have a sub-search inside of it if you want to do it from here. This is just history of the institution. That's not important. That's why we put it that way. Nobody really cares about this. They want to see what they can do. Yeah, and yeah, I think that's it. Some other challenges that we have. The data migration, since we have been coming from different platforms, we try to clean out as much as possible the data that was not important, and we changed a lot the structures that we have, so we could use as much as possible the Drupal 8 features that we have now. We had some multi-language challenges. There were some stuff that gave us problems. For example, paragraphs was one of them, and the translation of interfaces. So we have this translate.drupal.org page where you're supposed to be able to download all of the translations of the modules and interfaces, but we found that was pretty incomplete, at least for Spanish. So we spent a lot of time translating all of the interfaces, and we uploaded back to Drupal.org all of that changes that we did, but it was a lot that was not translated. So hopefully what we uploaded, it's gonna help others. And there's one issue right now that we have with translations, which it is no one on the institution wants to translate the content. So we have the translation feature, but they haven't translated the content. So it's for now disabled. We're seeing if we hire one of those translation services that exist so they can take care of that, because it's probably going to be a lot of work. The functionality is there, but it's not published because of that. Questions? Yeah.
You mentioned like you have a custom notification system for when something needs review, and I'm curious, like, does each piece of content have a particular person that reviews it, or does it all go to like one person for a review, or what is that process like?
In this case, when something is reviewed, we have it by role. So there's a user role, which is someone that can review the information. Mm-hmm. So it gets triggered to everyone that has that role.
Okay.
Because in this institution, they have like 4 people that do it.
Okay, so it's not a big group of reviewers, it's pretty small.
No, it's not that big. And they go through that pretty fast. So.
Mm-hmm.
And the other way, when something gets rejected, it gets sent to the author of that.
Okay.
If that stays on the same place for 2 days, we send it to everyone from that institution.
Just out of curiosity, from start of the project to launch date, how long did the site take to get live?
We started on July last year, and we launched the site on April.
Okay.
So it was less than a year.
2 months.
Yeah, but a lot of work.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people involved there.
How many people were involved in that? Was it that were actively?
Okay, so we had first it was me as a consultant and a designer. I already know them for a long time, so that I know what the problems they have. So even though we started at that moment, we have been planning that for more time. But we spent around a month to 2 months just planning how everything was going to be. And then we had 4 developers working, one working on the migration, just on the migration, another 2 working on site building and the functionalities, and another one doing the front end. So yeah, around 4 developers. Yeah.
I thought that was a really cool feature on the homepage where you pull in like the currently most popular items. Mm-hmm. How did you implement something like that?
So Google Analytics has an API where you can fetch that information from there.
Okay, so was it like a custom integration with Google Analytics?
Yeah. There's a module inside Drupal called statistics that you could use for that, but it's not recommended because to be able to use that, you have to disable the cache, so it can
really slow down your.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And it's gonna create one database insert every time someone look at a page. So it's yeah.
Okay.
It's there, but even in the module it says don't use it. It's yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot for coming. Yeah, you can find me there, and that's our social network.
Thank you.